Hey, everybody, and welcome to Shine with Julie. I help professionals get rid of those unconscious blocks that keep them stuck. And today I have with me a sister from a similar type of work, and that is Melissa Clough. And Melissa has been a huge help to me over the years. And she's an international speaker. She is a master trainer. She is also a master yoga, which we won't talk about as much today, but I am like in awe of that. She teaches people in all lines of work. You can see who she works with, but she teaches them expert communication techniques so they can get their own message out there. She helps people tap into that limitless potential in their subconscious, get rid of all those excuses. And she does this through neuro-linguistic programming, and you'll explain a little bit more about what that is to us, hypnosis and positive psychology to reprogram negative beliefs, emotions, and behaviors on both a conscious and subconscious level. So welcome, Melissa, and I've said a little bit about you, but what else do you want our audience to know about you today?
Thanks for having me, Julie. Well, basically, I mean, you covered most of it. I basically help. I really like to specialize in women entrepreneurs, although I don't only work with women, but I have such a passion for helping women to really find themselves in their line of work. And I think that, their business is a very man-driven, has been in the past, very male-driven field. And so now it's really exciting because there's an awareness about empowering women in the business field too. And so I have really have gotten a heart for that line of work to really help women in their business, but specifically coaches like you. So when I worked with you, Julie, helping you, people come to me, women specifically will come to me and go, I don't know what to do in my next line of business. Like, I know I'm a coach. I know I want to do something. I want to do something with this training that I have, but I don't know where to go or how to do that. And so what I do is not only do I train not just women, but I train just the general population, anybody who really wants to become a life coach in the neuro-linguistic programming and hypnotherapy path. I train them to be coaches. And then I also train coaches to launch their businesses and to really get their vision and their dreams out there in the world to help more people. So I think if I'm really I think of myself almost like a seed, and then just like planting all these, people who have this passion, but they don't really know where to go, and just kind of guiding them to that. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, on top of the yoga that I do as well.
Well, and I know that was something that you really helped me with over this last year is, this was a whole different space for me. It was, I've been in technology for years, and technology talk is very different than talking to somebody about, removing unconscious blocks or, getting out of their own way. And you really helped me see that, I kind of knew the message I wanted to share, but I didn't know how to get it out there. So that is really, where you came into play for me, Melissa, was taking what I already knew up here, but allowing my heart to come through. And that was really helpful for me to be able to bounce those ideas off of you. And you have great design, just an eye for that. And, a really welcoming way to speak to the audience that I knew I wanted to serve. So absolutely. Can you describe for those listening that might not know what neuro-linguistic programming is? Just so they know up front what we're talking about here.
Yes, and most people don't know what it means. And it's interesting because it started in California. However, it's more well known overseas in Europe, and a lot of people from Europe and other countries, Australia, have traveled here to learn, and they've taken it back and have really exploded the field. But here, it's much more not very well known in America for some reason. It's starting to get there. But neuro-linguistic programming it's basically neuro stands for brain, mind, linguistic is language, and programming is the programming that we have in our subconscious and unconscious with those language patterns. Okay. So basically how we talk to ourselves and how we communicate with others, and changing that that programming so that we can have success, so that we can have better communication in our relationships, so we can have better communication with ourselves, to believe in ourselves. So all that like negative self-talk that we are programmed over time to have, whether it's by society or our parents or anybody we love who've told us we can't do something, we take in all of those thoughts at an unconscious level, subconscious, unconscious. Sometimes people use those interchangeably. So those are all at a deep level. So when we are adults, we go, gosh, I really want to launch this business, but I don't believe in myself. I don't know why I'm self-sabotaging. Or maybe people aren't even aware that they're self-sabotaging. They just start saying no to opportunities, or they're not putting themselves out there, yet they want to. So if there's something you want, but you can't get it or do it, then it's usually at an unconscious level, something is stopping you. And so NLP is really what the abbreviation for neuro-linguistic programming is. That helps us to understand, to identify what those past negative programmings are, and then to change those language patterns so that we can change our results in our life.
It is so true. I mean, because that's really what's between here that we don't even know is going on. Oftentimes is why we stay stuck. So, Melissa, were you always an entrepreneur in your adult life, or what drew you to entrepreneurship yourself?
I always like to say it's because I'm kind of bossy.
Us women make great entrepreneurs, don't we?
Right? Yeah. I'm like, no one's the boss of me.
That's right.
But no, I say that lightly. But it really, there is some truth to that, where I feel like ever since I was young, I used to say I want to own my own business and I want to be a teacher. And those two things I would say growing up. And it's interesting how now I am a teacher and I own my own business. But I think when I was working for other people, and this is just my experience, I know some people have amazing experiences working with companies, but for me, I felt very constricted in my ability to really do what I needed to do or wanted to do and put out there in the world. So instead of somebody telling me you have to do this way, I found, what I really I like the creativity and the freedom to reach out to whoever and as many people as I want on my own time. So, but I don't know. I think it's really just about, for me, I've just always wanted to lead. And so that's where it's kind of come from. I just have always felt that. And I've been an entrepreneur since 2005. So 16 years about. So it's kind of like my life now.
That's awesome. Yeah. I was 2003, so not too much earlier than you.
Nice.
So as an entrepreneur, I know that it's not, great and always an uphill thing. So what are some challenges that you've had to overcome as an entrepreneur in your career?
That's a really good question. Being an entrepreneur does not come easy. I saw once, I actually have always wished that I could just go to a job and just work there and like leave at the end of the day and be done with it. I wish I could do that. And it's just not in my nature.
Me neither.
Right. And I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? But my vision of what I want to accomplish, what I want to do is so great that it's like, okay, this is my path. But with that does come a lot of struggle sometimes. And I saw this meme once that said, we quit our 40-hour week jobs so that we can work for ourselves and work like 120 or something.
Yeah, no doubt.
It doesn't make sense.
What have we done?
I know. But for me, I think that's something that's really, I have struggled with a lot. I've been through 2 divorces. Anybody listening, Joseph Clough, he's now my second ex-husband. And even though we're on great terms, we're really great friends, it has shown me that there has been this pattern of not really having a lot of balance with relationships. And because, you have this dream, he has a very strong vision in his life. I have very strong vision. The person I was with before also, we had big visions. And sometimes, you tend to lose that space of togetherness when you're so focused on where you want to go and what you want to do. And it does get into your relationships. So I think what I've learned from that, because in NLP, there's no failure, there's only feedback is what we say, it's always a learning. What do we learn? What can we learn from all of these setbacks and mistakes and challenges? So what I've learned is to really, as an entrepreneur, it's really important to set boundaries with yourself and to stop when it's time to stop.
Yeah.
Like, take that time. It's 7 p.m. or 6 p.m. or whatever. Stop. Take that time with your family. Take that time with your partner. Set aside those, those days and dates to go out together. The weekends, it's just setting those boundaries on the schedule and setting your priorities, because your work is your work, but your life also needs some attention too. So I think that's the biggest thing. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it is hard because, especially if, I love working out of my home, but that is also, and everybody in COVID land has experienced this the last year, but when your work is your play, which it sounds like that's how I am. I had a coach once tell me, Julie, your work is your play. And I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing. But it really is hard sometimes to block off that time. And you have to be super intentional about it.
Yes.
So that leads into the next question of how do you work around your family? Because you also have a child too. I don't remember the age of your child, but
I don't have any kids yet. No kids yet.
Okay.
But I have two fur babies.
2 fur babies. Yes. Okay. I don't know why I thought you had a daughter.
Yeah, no, I don't. But, that is something, I have thought I don't have time for kids. And now as I'm getting older, I'm like, you know what, maybe I can make space for that in my life at some point. But it has made me think like, well, how will I do that? Because I think for so many women, it's like career or family. Right. And I've always chosen career. I never thought there was any time for family. And so it's, again, setting those boundaries with yourself. Okay, if I want this to happen, this is my time slot for working. And like you said, it is fun. So, I mean, you could get stuck if you're doing something you like or love, especially if you're just starting out and you're the only person in your business that's getting it up and running. There's so much to do. You're never going to be done.
Ever.
So, you can work. I mean, I've caught myself working from 8 a.m. to 1 a.m. in the morning the following day.
Yeah.
And, I'm a mess. I am still in my pajamas. That's not okay.
It's not okay.
It's not okay. We need that balance. Like, get up and breathe. Go work out. Go eat well. Spend time with your family. So, yeah.
I hear that. I usually get dressed, though. I have to say,
good.
Don't work through in my pajamas, but
that is one thing I've actually taught myself to do is don't work in your pajamas. Like, get up, start like you're going to work.
Right. And especially if somebody has been at a business and they're coming home. And I remember in the beginning of COVID, I talked a lot about that on, some trainings, because it is a mindset change. Even though I have like 20 feet from my bedroom to my office, it still is, you have to have that mental transition. I heard one lady say that she drove around the block and then came back home.
Oh, that's good.
That was like a reset for her, that she's leaving her home life and she's coming back to her work life. And then she would do it again to transition. That was her. She had to have that moment, that defining moment. So
I love that. I might have to start doing that.
Yeah. Just really to reset, okay, now I'm leaving, I'm going to work, and now I'm coming back home. And it's just a physical reminder.
Yes.
So we have all this, lovely negativity in the world. And, I'm sure that you protect yourself from it as much as you can, like I do, but it's still around us. And, I'm sure with what you just went through, even though you and Joseph are remaining friends, that is a negative thing. It's a hard thing in a life. So talk to us about, how do you stay positive? And I know that's what your business is all about. It's what my business is all about. But, sometimes it's easier to teach it than to do it.
Yes.
Talk to us about that.
That's a really good topic to discuss, because it is, as your coach, it is so difficult when you're going through your own personal problems to show up for someone else's personal problems. It is so hard. And so I think for me, what I do is I've really, again, it's the boundaries. Again, it's the training yourself into a sort of ritual to reset, kind of like we were talking about the other lady, like change the, it's almost like breaking a pattern of thought. So in the morning, what I do is I connect to myself. It's spiritually, if you're spiritual, I connect to God. I pray in the morning, or meditate, and I start my day empowering myself. So starting my day empowering me, filling my own cup so that I can help other people. So I'm more present for someone else. And then I'll I'll kind of stay away from negativity, other things that will, kind of hinder. When I'm feeling weaker, I will not, maybe I'll stay away from social media a little bit more. I'll stay away from the news in the morning, in the evening, right before bed, and while I'm eating. So all of those are like sacred times for me. So I have those sacred moments where it's just in the morning, and especially at night, of filling my cup in the morning, starting my day, and then turning it off, and turning off my personal life. When I go into to teach or to meet with a client, there's something Walt Disney used to tell. He's not around, but the company still teaches their staff that when you walk into the gates of Disney and you're for the employees, you are now a cast member. So they're not employees, they're cast members. So they walk in and now you're on stage and you put all your problems off to the side. And I really use that method a lot. So I will set aside a time for me to process my own emotions. It's time for me to set aside for me to go through my own, to cry, to journal, to whatever I need to do. And then if I'm showing up for somebody else, I'm showing up for someone else. I turn everything off and here I am. Okay, let's go. We're on.
That's a great way to think about it, because you really are filling a role. And, even though you're not on stage with lights or cameras, that is the role that you are playing for your client, for, whoever you're serving at that moment. And that's a great way to think about it too, to step into that role. Your persona it's not important right then. So that's a great way to think about that. And I loved what you said about starting and ending the day and putting boundaries around those times of your day where you let other information in, because I think so many people forget that they have control over that, and that is something that they can set up. It's not like you're going to allow anybody in your home, but I think sometimes we forget that we don't have to let everything and everybody in our minds either. So that's a great reminder, Melissa. I'm really glad that you said it like that.
Good.
Now, we went through a rebranding of me, but, talk to me about, what kind of advice would you give to that woman that knows, there's something more in here. There's something more for that person to do. And, for whatever reason, maybe they've been in a 20-year career and they're questioning, can I really step out and do something different? What would your advice be to that person?
I would really say before you go outward, before you start doing a business plan and going off and planning everything, go inward first. Go inward, find a coach. You're a great coach too, Julie. That's anybody that can find somebody who is available to help you process internally what is stopping you. There's so many different modalities. Yes, NLP and hypnosis is amazing. So is your work. So are other people's work. So find one that connects with you. If you try a coach and you don't like it, go to somebody else. There's always there's something for everybody. And there's one modality that will connect with you and a certain coach that will connect with you. But discover first, what are those blocks that you're having? What are the fears? What's causing those fears at a deeper level that's stopping you from putting yourself out there? And then once you get that, take time as well to process it. Like, it doesn't have to be in a rush. You don't have to be, going, I got to do it by tomorrow. Yes. Cause that's when you lose your balance. So finding what's internally stopping you first. And then once you get that, you're going to be on fire, because we can do, I used to be an organizational development consultant, and we would just do like business planning and strategic stuff. And you can do all that, but it will only get you so far. You can have a business plan, but you might not do anything with it unless you really get through the mental stuff. So that would be my biggest piece of advice, is to do that first.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that because in the first part of my entrepreneurial stint, I just went for it. I did
Yeah.
everything that you're talking about. I got the website, I got the this, I got the that, and at some point you're going to hit that wall if you
Yeah.
haven't done the internal stuff. You are going to hit a wall and you're going to be
Yeah.
like, wait a minute, what do I do now? Um,
Yes.
so that is so true. Absolutely. So we've talked a lot about your business.
Mhm.
Now, talk to me about something personally that you're super proud of, something that you've accomplished. And I might have given away some of that.
Yes. Well, whenever I get this question, it's always like I get all these different thoughts because part of it is that I feel really accomplished when I see other people accomplishing their goals. Like when I
Mhm.
look at you, Julie, I'm like, she's one of my top clients. Like you're just like, you just went for it. Yes, I love you. I'm looking at your branding. I'm like, oh my gosh, everything looks so great compared to when we first started. And even
Yes.
seeing your confidence level,
Thank you.
like just seeing you from the beginning, like I don't know if I can do it, but I want to. And now you're just like on a roll. When I see clients like you, those to me are like my greatest senses of accomplishment. I'm like, I know I made a difference in somebody's world today, and you now are in turn making a difference in other people's worlds. So for me, that's on a personal level, my biggest, greatest accomplishment. I think on a business level, just really getting I mean, I've won awards for having best hypnotherapy practice for years, and I've gotten Huffington Post recognition for a podcast I used to have, or #1 podcast, and all those things are great. But it's really, I think most of my sense is personal, and just
Mhm.
even getting my business up and running, starting the school, the California School of NLP and Hypnosis that I run, getting myself up to creating a coaching practice. I think why I connect so much to people starting like you is because I also had those same struggles. I grew up
Mhm.
with such low self-confidence, such low self-esteem. I was always, people pleasing and putting my dreams aside. And, it's like when it finally clicked and I did the work, I did NLP, I did hypnosis, I did a lot of other psychology stuff. That's when things started rolling for me. And when I found out that was possible for me, I started to learn how to make it possible for other people. So that
I
to
love
me is just my biggest accomplishment.
And it's so easy. I did a talk about this morning, actually. It's so easy for somebody looking at you, right? They're looking at you and they think, "Oh my gosh, Melissa's amazing. I can't ever put myself out there. It's so easy for her."
Yeah.
But you gave us a glimpse right now. It hasn't always been easy for you, and it's
No.
never easy.
Yes.
It's never easy, but it's worth it to go through that. And who you become as a person is
Yeah.
so much better once you have to go through that for your business. It just trickles down into every
Yeah.
other part. I'm going to flash your website up here because I
Sure.
definitely want people to know how to get a hold of you. And you have something exciting coming up, a training course. So tell us a little bit about that before we wrap up here today.
Yes. So Joseph and I will be doing another practitioner training. So certification practitioner training for NLP and hypnosis.
Awesome.
Yeah. So these trainings teach you how to be a coach, a life coach in NLP, and also how to become a hypnotherapist so that you could help people at a conscious and unconscious level change yours, and also help other
Mhm.
people change their unconscious and conscious programming and
Right.
negative programming, to be a better communicator, to be better with relationships, to be a coach,
Mhm.
to help other people in their relationships. So we are actually doing for the first time a full weekend format so that you don't even have to worry about taking time off work. It will be 4 weekends starting August 7th, Saturday and Sunday. Depending on your time zone, it will be starting at 8:30 Pacific until 4:30. So every other weekend until September. And we'll teach you everything from, learning all the NLP communication techniques, learning how to work with people, learning how to utilize hypnosis for yourself and for others, and also timeline therapy, which is another branch off of NLP, which helps people to let go of anger, resentment, hurt,
Okay.
guilt, all those negative emotions.
Mhm.
And on top of that, what kind of sets us apart is my business training on top of that. So you'll
Mhm.
also get business because you'll get all these techniques, and then you
Right.
go, oh, what do I do with this? um, and then so you'll have business training as well to set up your coaching practice and get the ball rolling. So we are the registration is open. So that website that you have down on the bottom of the
Mhm.
screen, CSNLPH, stands for California School of NLP and Hypnosis. Everything is right there on that page on how to register. And
Wonderful.
if you also want coaching from me, there is also a link on the menu just to do business coaching if you want to just work with me personally.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I just want to remind everybody really quick, hypnosis, I grew up thinking hypnosis was, you're on stage and they tell you to cluck like a chicken or, jump up and down 5 times. It is not
Yeah.
that kind of hypnosis. It is explained in just a really quick snippet.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up because there are so many misconceptions about
Yeah.
hypnosis. And there are so many different types of hypnosis
Right.
too. There is stage hypnosis, that's more entertaining. What we're
Right.
doing is teaching you therapeutic hypnosis or hypnotherapy. And basically, again, if you want something consciously, but you can't get it or something is stopping you, there's an unconscious program running the show.
Mhm.
And 88% of our behavior is unconscious.
Yeah.
So if that's so much of our behavior is automatic, how come we're not putting more attention to reaching those parts of our mind to
Right.
change that?
Mhm.
So it's basically, I would explain it more like a guided meditation. You're
Mhm.
never like put under,
Right.
as people say, I'm put under. You are completely aware of what you're doing and what you're thinking. Hypnosis is basically a relaxed state of concentration.
Mhm.
So your mind is concentrating without all the distractions. You're being led and guided to a very relaxed place where you can find answers for yourself rather than, awake state where you're just, everything's distracting.
Right.
You can't find answers that way. So that's
Right.
what it is in a nutshell.
Awesome. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for your time today. I think that we have learned a lot, and I really appreciate that
Excuse me.
last explanation because I think that is so true, and that's a big part of the work that I do because I had that same issue. I recognized that consciously I knew everything I wanted to do, but there was this really big unconscious track playing in my head all day long, and I had to reframe that. I had to get rid of those emotional blocks, and then it really does fall in line with the work that I do with the body code and emotion code, getting rid of those trapped emotions and then allowing a pathway for the rebuilding of that unconscious mind is
Yes.
so powerful. So thank you very
Yes.
much. I wish you much success with your program. That's outstanding.
Thank
And
you, Julie.
remember from me, I believe in you. You are a special gem with your own ability to shine. And until next time,
Thank you,
bye.
Julie. Bye.